When stuff hits the fan, like it did tonight, I've heard it said that maybe you kind of enjoy it when things go wrong.
They fear you more than anything. You ate a lot of people back in your day.
You can't change the past.
Look, I'm not saying it's fair, but it's real. People are scared of you.
That's not who I am.
You're not as bad as everyone says you are.
I think it's safe to say not every Telltale game was as inspired as others, but we can't forget the greats they put out. They've made some absolutely iconic games. The Walking Dead, Tales from the Borderlands, and, as you know if you read the title of this video, The Wolf Among Us, which is the topic of this video. The Wolf Among Us is what I consider to be the best Telltale game, even better than the first two Walking Deads. Don't get me wrong, they're great, but I just prefer The Wolf Among Us. The game was released almost at the same time as The Walking Dead Season 2, both having the first episode being released late 2013. The Wolf Among Us is based off of Bill Willingham's comic series Fables, a world where fairy tale stories and characters are real. However, their world was destroyed and they had to move into the normal, or mundane, world. The game is a prequel to the comics, taking place in the 1980s. Also, no, I have not read the comics, so I have no idea what happens after the game, and I probably miss a bunch of reference to the comics in the game. The fairy tale characters, or fables as they are called, have lived in the mundane, or again as they call it, Mundy world for hundreds of years, but not all have gotten used to it. The fables are more of their original kind of Grimm Brothers type version of their story, so just more dark than their modern stories. The fables are also incredibly strong and can survive quite a bit. The game takes place in New York City, specifically Fabletown, the kind of haven for fables. The fables who do not naturally look like humans have to buy glamour, a spell that makes them look like humans but is very expensive. If people can't afford the steep prices of glamour, they get sent to the farm, a refuge for the unfortunate fables, but also a place that many view as a prison. The town is temporarily being run by Ichabod Crane, while the actual mayor is away. Snow White is his assistant. The world and politics of The Wolf Among Us are incredible, with the class divide of the lower class that gets forgotten about by the upper class and government officials. You play as one of these government officials, the sheriff of Fabletown, Bigby Wolf, aka the Big Bad Wolf. Your job is to keep the fables under control, specifically to stop them from killing each other. It's quite a task given Bigby's the only one keeping them safe, and the fables are quite strong. Added to the fact most members of Fabletown dislike Bigby given his past of, well, being the Big Bad Wolf. The story starts with Bigby investigating a disturbance between the woodsman and a mysterious fable that Bigby gets along with, and is surprised because, well, she's actually nice to him. However, the story really kicks off once her head is left on the doorstep of Bigby's apartment. The 5 episodes of The Wolf Among Us focus on the investigation into her death, but obviously it's much bigger than a murder mystery and explores corruption, politics, the citizens, and a secret society of Fabletown. The best I could describe the game is a murder mystery with fantasy elements. It's your job as sheriff to look at clues, piece evidence together, and interrogate suspects. The story is fascinating, and the world is incredible. The characters are well-written, realistic depictions of iconic fairy tale characters. The world is amazing as you discover the deep problems with Fabletown and its government. The art style is great, perfectly bringing that straight out of a comic book vibe to life. The colors stick out with the normal warm interiors contrasted with the purple tone in so many areas. The music is amazing. It is just phenomenal. It's iconic. I'm running out of adjectives. It is just brilliant. It combines real orchestra with synthwave, tying in with the game, as both the music and the game are about combining the real with the fake. All of these things I just mentioned, and I haven't even gotten to the game's biggest strength, the protagonist, Bigby. Bigby is an incredibly complex character, and one of my favorite video game protagonists. As previously mentioned, most of Fabletown looks down upon Bigby. A person previously known for his violence and brutality is now the person supposed to be keeping the peace and protecting them. He doesn't have many friends, as not many people like him, and he's not even allowed to go on the farm, as the animals there are afraid of him. He is an outsider, even as the title says, the wolf among us. Don't you dare make an Among Us joke, I swear to God. Bigby is an outsider almost everywhere he goes. Bigby neither fits in with the upper class, for they look down on him for, being the big bad wolf, while the upper class doesn't like him either, as they view him as the upper class's servant and blame him for never getting the help they need. Bigby's past and how he is viewed is a major part of the character. Remember, you control Bigby. You get to decide whether he is a compassionate person trying his best to protect the people and seek redemption for his past, or just a bloodthirsty psychopath. both of these work for the character. Given his position as sheriff, it would make sense for him to switch from nice to aggressive between sentences. Also helping is the amazing performance of Adam Harrington, who perfectly portrays both sides of Bigby's character, and has one of the coolest sounding voices ever. Now, you might be thinking, this is a Telltale game. I'm aware at this point that my choices have no effect whatsoever. But see, that's the thing that's different with The Wolf Among Us, is that they do. Just kind of, sorta, in a bit of a different way, kinda. Sure, no matter what you do, the story will end up where it's supposed to, and you don't get a completely different experience based off the choices you made. Instead, your choices reflect how the town views Bigby. Near the end of the game, during the trial, the characters will bring up the choices you make, and what changes is how people view Bigby. If you are a bloodthirsty psychopath, the town will still fear the big bad wolf. But if you were compassionate and helpful, the people will actually side with Bigby and not everyone will hate him anymore. This is why I like this game better than the other Telltale games like The Walking Dead. Your choices do matter in what I think is a meaningful way. Not to say that your choices don't matter whatsoever in The Walking Dead. Of course it does reflect on Lee, especially with the relationship between him and Clementine, but I think it's more meaningful in The Wolf Among Us. Sure, it's not a bunch of branching paths depending on your choices, but it does make it feel like there's weight behind the choices you are making. The choices reflect on Bigby. The story is all about the character of Bigby, who he is and how he's viewed, and I think there's a few relationships with other characters that highlight this greatly. My favorite being Colin, the pig who built his house out of straw and Bigby huffed and puffed it down. Bigby lets Colin escape the farm and, well, technically depending on your choices, live in his apartment because Bigby has once ruined Colin's life, and Bigby letting Colin live in his apartment could be viewed as an attempt to make up for his past mistakes. Their dialogue is some of the best in the game, in my opinion. Another good example is the woodsman who saved Little Red Riding Hood from Bigby. Don't worry about not recognizing fairy tale characters. I only recognize Bigby, Colin, and the ones that were in Shrek. I know nothing about fairy tales. Bigby and the woodsman start off even right at the start of the game hostile with each other, but as the game goes on, they both get over their past hostility and don't want to fight anymore. There's even one section where they work together to fight what is that thing, a fucking chupacabra? The game uses past knowledge, the world, and its characters to develop the character based off the player's choices. Again, don't worry about not recognizing fables. The game has a section in the main menu called the Book of Fables, which will tell you the backstory of the characters and other interesting information. The gameplay also serves the story pretty well, with the detective play having to piece scenes together showing the detective side of Bigby. The combat also shows the gritty realism and brutality of the world. And yes, I did just reference the combat involving fairy tale creatures as a point for gritty realism. The combat in this game is brutal, especially when the wolf comes out. Bigby is not naturally human, and in combat that will show as his wolfness works kinda like the Hulk, except here it has multiple stages ranging from extra hairy Bigby to full-on werewolf to eventually just a straight-up giant wolf. And yes, the gameplay is clicking on items and clicking dialogue choices, and yes, the combat is just quick time events. I don't see it as a massive problem. It's still entertaining, and the story is so engaging that it hooks you and you'll handle the gameplay just to experience the story. I'm not going too deep into the story in case there's someone for some reason watching this that hasn't played the game, which if you haven't, go play it, it's amazing. I love the story, especially the murder mystery elements. The tone and the vibes of this game almost feel noir-like. The story has dramatic moments and has twists and turns, especially the massive plot twist cliffhanger of an ending, which is funny considering that for the longest time there was no next Wolf Among Us in sight, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, to bring it back, The Wolf Among Us was Telltale's best game in my opinion. Sure, The Walking Dead was phenomenal, and I could understand if you were to say The Walking Dead's your favorite. The Walking Dead has a phenomenal group of characters that are iconic, but The Wolf Among Us has an incredible story backed with a complex, interesting protagonist and a deep and outstanding world. The world, the story, and how the characters react and interact in it are amazing. It was at that golden age of Telltale before they started farming out every IP they could. Which, in their defense, I don't think all their other games are bad. There is visible passion in some of these. I heard the Batman series was good, and I personally liked the Game of Thrones game, even though a lot of people hated it. But The Wolf Among Us is loved by many people, and everyone wanted a sequel. It seemed like it would never come, but then Telltale finally announced it, and then shut down in October of 2018. So, naturally, people thought that it just went in the Half-Life direction. People would never get another entry nor a resolution to the plot twist. But then, during the 2019 Game of the Year Awards, there was just a teaser for The Wolf Among Us 2. I guess somehow the corpse of Telltale got shocked back to life. And finally, that brings us to February 9th, 2022. A full-on official trailer drops for The Wolf Among Us 2. And, well, Telltale, you've got my money just based on the music alone. hearing that amazing music while Bigby walks down that hallway, Bigby's sweet new look, the colors, the art style, the chaotic looking combat, the new full-on werewolf form, it's amazing. I've just got to say, do not mess this up, Telltale. Don't screw it up. I am not expecting Detroit Become Human where every level has a giant set of branching paths. I just want more of the same. I want a new mystery and conflict. I want more with Bigby's struggles. I want more about the world of Fabletown. And thank God that seems to be what they're going for. Bigby and anger management seemingly placed there by Snow, the Wizard of Oz characters, it's looking amazing. I'm super excited for this game. Just please, Telltale, don't be resurrected just to be put right back down in the grave. Anyways, before this video ends, I'd like to thank everyone watching, especially if you tolerated my voice long enough to make it this far into the video. If you liked this video and don't mind adding another video to your liked videos playlist, consider giving this video a like. Also, if you're up to it, consider subscribing, and I will hopefully see you again. Bye!